The Marshall Season 2 teaser just dropped. Kayce is in it. Rainwater is in it. Andrea is in it. Cal and Belle are not. Not one frame. Not one shot. The two characters who were left bleeding under enemy fire as the Season 1 finale ended are completely absent from the first footage of the new season. And the outlets that tracked that teaser frame by frame said the same thing. The editors knew exactly what they were doing. What does it mean when a show that just confirmed an 18 to 20 episode season doesn't put its two most endangered characters in the first footage? What did Logan Marshall-Green mean when he said Cal isn't coming out of this unscathed? And who is the man in a suit telling Kayce he's heard stories about the Duttons? Let's break it down. Before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, I'd really appreciate it if you considered subscribing. We cover every development across the Yellowstone franchise the moment it drops. And this teaser just raised more questions than it answered. Okay, let's go back to exactly where Season 1 left Cal and Belle, because the absence in this teaser only carries weight if you remember precisely what the finale did to them. Marshall's Season 1 finale ended on one of the most brutal cliffhangers in the franchise's history. Cal and Belle, two of Kayce's closest team members, were ambushed by gunmen hired by Tom Wheeler, the man who spent an entire season presenting himself as a trustworthy ally while quietly orchestrating attacks on everyone around Kayce. The finale confirmed Wheeler's true face in the final moments of the episode. One of his men walked over to him as he prepared to board a private plane and told him simply that it was handled. Tate was already on that plane with Wheeler, heading to Texas, and Cal and Belle were under fire with no confirmed way out. That's the exact image the show left in the audience's head. Two beloved characters in immediate danger, the villain already in motion, and Wheeler's man saying those two words, "It's handled," which in franchise terms usually means the worst possible thing. Now here's what the teaser shows. The footage was released exclusively through People magazine and begins with Kayce Dutton inside what appears to be a remote location when a group of armed men in suits confront him. One of them tells Kayce he's heard stories about the Duttons. Kayce's response is quiet and cold. He says the fact that you're doing this tells him they haven't heard them all. Then he attacks. The sequence that follows shows Kayce in a horse and car chase that ends with another vehicle flipping. Thomas Rainwater appears and delivers a warning about nobody escaping unscathed from death and violence. Andrea, played by Ash Santos, appears briefly in her uniform, confirming she returned from Washington even after leaving at the end of Season 1. And that's it. No Cal. No Belle. For a teaser built around showcasing what's coming in Season 2, the deliberate omission of the two characters whose fate was the most urgent open question from the Season 1 finale is not an accident. The TV Cave put it directly in their breakdown. They said the editors knew exactly what they were doing by withholding any footage of these two. Country Rebel flagged the same thing independently. Two key characters are missing, they noted, and it raises concern about their fates. Both outlets arrived at the same conclusion without coordinating. Something about Cal and Belle's situation in Season 2 is being protected by whoever cut this teaser. Now here's what we actually know. Both Logan Marshall-Green and Ariel Kebbel have confirmed they're returning for Season 2. That's established. But Marshall-Green's exact language when describing his survival is worth sitting with carefully. He told TV Line that the duo is not going to come out unscathed. And in a separate interview, when asked directly whether Cal survives, he confirmed Cal is alive but described it as not necessarily unscathed. In a show where the Yellowstone franchise pattern is to keep characters alive, but cost them something irreversible, not unscathed lands very differently depending on what Cal is dealing with going into the ambush. Because Cal has cancer. That detail was established in Season 1 and hasn't been resolved. A man with a cancer diagnosis who then survives a direct gunshot ambush isn't simply a man who lives. He's a man whose body is already under enormous strain, trying to recover from an attack while a disease is also working on him from the inside. Not unscathed takes on a completely different meaning in that context. And Belle's situation isn't simpler. Her gambling debts have been threatening what's left of her marriage throughout Season 1, and she'd grown closer to Cal as a result. An ambush that injures both of them at the same moment puts two people in recovery, who were already depending on each other for emotional stability, with Cal's health making every stage of that recovery more precarious. Here's the rehook. Because the detail in this teaser that everyone underestimated is not the absence of Cal and Belle. It's the episode count. Luke Grimes recently confirmed that Marshals Season 2 will run 18 to 20 episodes. Season 1 had 13. That's a season that's almost 60% longer than the one before it. And it's a season that begins with two of its most important characters in an unknown physical state, with a villain who has already confirmed he's the big bad for the entire run, with Tate in Texas with that same villain, and now with a mysterious suited man telling Kayce he's heard stories about the Duttons, suggesting the threat in Season 2 isn't only Tom Wheeler. 18 to 20 episodes. That's a lot of time to deal with Cal's cancer alongside everything else. That's a lot of episodes to find out what Belle's injuries actually cost her. That's a lot of story to run before Kayce potentially ends up in South Texas, where his sister and her kidnapped son are also dealing with a cartel. The teaser, being only 30 or 60 seconds of action built entirely around Kayce, does something deliberate on two levels. First, it tells you Kayce is fine. He's mobile, he's dangerous, he's still the center of the story. Second, by showing you Andrea's return and Rainwater's warning and Kayce's fight while cutting away everything involving Cal and Belle, it tells you the show is treating their status as a reveal rather than an update. You don't hide information like that by accident in a first-look teaser. You hide it because revealing it even briefly would answer a question the show wants you to wait for. So here's where Season 2 stands heading into fall. Marshals Season 2 premieres on CBS this fall 2026. It will also be available on Paramount+. Production is already underway in Park City, Utah. The season will run 18 to 20 episodes, the longest individual season in the Yellowstone franchise's television history. Tom Wheeler is confirmed as the season's primary villain. Tate is in Texas with Wheeler. Andrea is back on the team. Rainwater is warning about death and violence coming to the Duttons. And somewhere in Park City, the scenes involving Cal and Belle are being filmed right now, and nobody outside the production knows yet what shape they're in. Marshals premiered to 9.52 million viewers and averaged 25.24 million viewers within 35 days, making it the most watched broadcast TV series of 2026, and it was renewed in less than a month. That's the show going into a season that refuses to tell you whether two of its most important characters are going to be okay. So tell me what you think. Does Cal's cancer become the thing that ultimately costs him more than the ambush? And does Belle come back with full mobility? Or does Season 2 open with her recovering from something permanent? Drop your theories in the comments. I want to hear from everyone who caught the absence in that teaser. And if you want every update the moment more Season 2 footage drops, go ahead and subscribe. I'd really appreciate having you here for it. See you when the next piece of this lands.